in Israel back in about 300 years ago, who also believed that there was a connection between the scattering of the tribes and the First Nations people.
So the theory would be that when the 10 lost tribes were scattered, some of them ended up coming to America. Is that
Right.
the idea?
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. Like I said, there's so many things in the traditions, the customs, the spirituality that just go beyond coincidence.
For example, my people's traditional name, the Cherokee's traditional name for ourselves is Anikaduaya, which means the principal people of Yah.
Yeah. And the Cheyenne tribe in the Americas called themselves Tsitzitsa, which means people of the fringes.
Really?
And their cousin tribes, the Shoshone, whose symbol is a rose, we find
Shoshana,
which is a rose.
Now you've brought with you.
Next slide. This is from Christopher Columbus in the Participation of the Jews, page 98. It says, a more interesting mode of migration is the question whether any analogies in language and traditions and religious conceptions or in religious ceremonies justify the acceptance of this ethnological theory. Rodin's chief argument in support of his view is the language of the Indians in Hispaniola, Cuba, Jamaica, and the adjoining islands. He contends that it has many resemblances to Hebrew. In fact, he even calls it corrupted Hebrew. He asserts that such names as Cuba and Haiti are Hebrew, which Cuba means large tent in Hebrew, and Haiti, it goes back to the Hittites, all right, are Hebrew. And they were first applied by the earliest caciques, the chiefs or leaders, which comes from the Hebrew kaizen, that's where you get the word cacique from, who discovered, and kaizen, it means chief in Hebrew. It says, who discovered and peopled the islands. The names of rivers and of persons in use among the natives are derived from the Hebrew. For example, Aina, from the Hebrew word Ain, meaning stream. Jonas, from Jonah. Yaki, from Jacob. Uris, from Urias. Sabio, from Seba. Maisa, from Moshi. The names of their tools are their little canoes, kansas, or the name of Akshi for pepper, the name of the storehouses for maize, grain, and the like, all point to the Hebrew language. So we can clearly see that there is a connection between the Indian dialect and the Hebraic dialect, right? And we're going to exemplify that even further in the presentation. Next slide. Mexica. Mexica is Aramaic for anointed. The ancient Mexicans bore that name. Mexica, right? The Mexicans. So you can see the dark-skinned Mexicans to the right playing Patoli, an ancient game. But we can see that this name, which is Aramaic for the Mashiach, or anointed, that's the name that they bore to represent their people. That's where you get the word Mexico from. It's an bastardization of Mexica. Next slide. Oaxaca, or Oaxaca. The O in the Spanish codices is pronounced wa. The X in the Spanish codices is pronounced sh, because they couldn't pronounce every word that the Nahuatl people or the Mexica people were speaking, because, first of all, in Spanish, you don't have the sh. You don't have the sh sound. So they had to make a workaround in the codices so the Spanish reader could pronounce these names. So O in the Spanish codices is pronounced wa. The X in the Spanish codices is pronounced sh. The correct pronunciation of Oaxaca is Oaxaca, denoting wages are higher. And there's the Hebrew phonetics right there, Oaxaca. That's how you say it in Hebrew. And that shows the validity of our claim that the ancient Mexicans or Mexicans are of the tribe of Issachar. Next slide. Shammai or Shammai. Now, Jamaica, real quick, a disclaimer. Jamaica is not supposed to be pronounced Jamaica. That's a mispronunciation of the original land name, Jamaica. That's how you're supposed to say it, or Jamaica or Jamaica. Modern day Jamaica. Shammai comes from the Strong's H80 and 85. It means to hear. And Ka comes from Strong's H8660, Kawa, meaning dwelling or accord. Assyrian Koa, dwelling or land. And when we see that word Koa, like barbacoa, within the Indian dialect, which is clearly Assyrian, which has ties to the Hebrew Kawa. So Shemai Ka means, transliterated correctly, as land of Simeon. And the Ka in the Arawak language means land. Now, if you Google this, you're going to get a myth that's been pushed out there and pushed on our people, that the word Shemaika means land of wood or water, a land of trees and water. We're going to break that down, and that's a fallacy that cannot be proven. Shemaika cannot mean land of wood and water. We do not find those words within its composition. The Arawak words for trees and water are as follows: Ara, denoting wood or tree; Uini, meaning water. Thus, Ara plus Uini could not be equal to Shemaika. Myth busted. We can clearly show you with philology, okay, that composition cannot equal Shemaika. All of this was created to cover up the true meaning of these lands, the true Hebraic connection that our people have, the indigenous and Negroid people that are in the Americas have with the Hebrew people of antiquity. And that's just the plot that they plot against us. It's right here in Psalms, the book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 4. They have said, "Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. They plot to keep us from remembering who we are. So that's why you can see, go on Google, Wikipedia, oh, that means lands of trees and water. Yeah, right. It means the land of Simeon. That's what it means. Shammai means heard. What does Simeon come from? To be heard. Next. Boricua. Borica. The island name Boricua has a clear connection with the Hebrew. Barika, meaning well; Barikim, meaning blessed; Barikaya, Strong's H1296, means blessed of Yah. So you can see the clear, concise connection with the Hebraic dialect and the Indian dialect, or the Arawak dialect. 1 Chronicles 15 and 17, where you can find that brother Barikaya. And what did we bring up earlier? Prior, the first slide was about the children in the building of a city continues a man's name. And we can see that through Barikwa, Berechiah, his seed, his children, his city. The city is named after these ancient forefathers. And that's where you get Boricua comes from, the root word Barik, which means blessed in Hebrew, right? So it doesn't mean noble lords, none of that. That's poor scholarship, whoever pushes that, because they probably just got that from the website or whatever. No real research went into it. No real philology or metathesis went into, coming up with that ideology. Next slide. Genesis 49:26, it says, "The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, and unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They should be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren." So the Lord basically was prophesying about Joseph, that he'll have blessings unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hill. The utmost bound of everlasting hills is the Americas. That's the utmost part of the earth, the Western Hemisphere. Proving what? That the 10 tribes came to America. I have plenty of videos exemplifying that fact on my channel. Check them out. Israelites Discovered America was the latest one. Check it out. But this scripture clearly shows the connection of the blessings of Joseph, i.e. Berakim, a Berik, which means blessed. And that's where you get the word Berika from. So when someone says they're Boricuan, they're talking about their connected to those indigenous people that were originally there, which were Hebrew. That's why they called the island Berikim, because it was a blessed island. All right, the weather, the animals, the sea, everything about it is blessed. The people having those multitude of children, being able to populate the way they do, that's a blessing. So Berikia means a blessed land, okay, or blessed people. Next slide. Tola. Let's deal with the Toltec Indians, right? The Toltec Indians, they have a very strong Hebraic tie. Tola, a son of Issachar, fathered the Tolites or Toltec people, who obviously came to Mesoamerica in BC times and settled. Genesis 46 and 13 and Judges 10, 1 and 2 are the two reference scriptures. To the right, I have a source to exemplify this. It says, built on the ruins of the once great capital of the Toltec Indian Empire. Tola was a humble abode village set around the usual Central American plaza. And that's from Tycoon's War by Stephen Dando Collins, chapter 4. Right? So we can clearly see that, again, Sirach 40 and 19 talks about children in the building of the city continues a man name. They came and built the city after their forefather, their ancient forefather, Tola. It's clear, concise. We can see that. Next slide. Rabban. Rabban, and here's a quote I have on here. It says, among them was that which in olden times was the country of the Kakchiquel, the present Chuvila, and the country of the people of Rabbanal, Pamaka. Source Katunab, Mesoamerican Anthropology, page 16. And Rabbanal, the Rabbanal people are from the tribe of Reuben. Let's break it down. Strong's H7205 is Rabban, which means behold a son. Ra and Bun. Ra means to see, Bun means son. Strong's H410, Al, or what we say in English, Eli, or El, power or God. So the word Rabbanah means behold a son of power, or behold a son of God. That's exactly what it translates into from the Hebrew. Genesis 49 and 3. That matches the prophecy, by the way. It says, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, in the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power, or what? Al, because that's what the word al denotes. That's why in the Islamic faith, they call him Allah, talking about power. But in English, over here, we had the Basnai version of Elohim, El, but it's actually Al in the proper pronunciation. So you can clearly see the tribe of Reuben in America, and you clearly see that their children in their city continued his name here in America. And this is actually in Mesoamerica, by the way. Next and final slide, Gad. Gad. First, I'm going to read the source, Wisdom and Sits in Places, to the right on the screen. It says, these fields look after us by helping our corn to grow. Our children eat it and become strong. We eat it and continue to live. Our corn draws life from this earth, and we draw life from our corn. This earth is part of us. We are of this place. Juniper tree stands alone. That's the English literal transliteration. We should name ourselves for this place. We are God, O-I-N. Gad, O-I-N. And that's for Wisdom Sit in Places by Keith H. Basso, page 21. These are the Navajo people speaking. They say that we are Gad, O-I-N, meaning the people of Gad. We are Gad, O-I-N, the people of Gad. Juniper tree represents good fortune in the Navajo lexicon. Gad in Hebrew means good fortune. Strong's H1408, Gad, fortune. They used to burn the twigs of the juniper tree for fortune. They used to give it to their pregnant lady to have a good pregnancy, to have a good delivery, and a healthy baby. So we can clearly see the Hebraic ties to the tribe of Gad here in North America. So with that concludes my lesson, my presentation. I pray that it was very insightful. I pray that you took notes, you wrote some of this information down. I pray that you share this amongst your cohorts and your peoples so we can spread this gospel to the four corners of the earth. This is Genesis 49ers. Like, subscribe, and comment. Like, subscribe, and comment. And also share on the different social